Hi friends, welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the trans rights readathon that I am participating in, the fundraiser that I'm doing associated with it, my TBR for the readathon, what you can expect, how to participate, and where to find out more information. So y'all know I am currently hosting Tour.com-a-thon. It is a month-long, pretty chill readathon, but I saw somebody on TikTok create this readathon to raise money for trans rights organizations and trans support organizations, as well as to raise awareness about trans books and books by trans authors, which I think is amazing. If you follow me over on Instagram, you might have seen that I shared these visuals. If you are participating in Tour.com-a-thon and you also want to double up with the trans rights readathon and read trans books, I have two lovely slides showing you a bunch of books by trans authors that were published by Tor and Tor.com that would count for the readathon. So if you are looking for that information, you can find it over on my Instagram, and that is linked down below if you want to check it out. A couple of those books will be going on my personal TBR for the readathon, as I'll be doubling up as well, but I'm really excited to have the opportunity to raise money for an organization that I care about and bring attention to books by trans authors, especially with all of the anti-trans legislation happening in various parts of the world, but especially in the United States right now. This is so important and a cause that's really close to my heart. So I hope you all will join me in donating if you're able to and reading books by trans authors. The readathon is taking place from March 20th to March 27th, and then this is all leading up to March 31st, which is the Trans Day of Visibility. And so this is kind of a ramp up to that for people who are celebrating and doing donations and just raising awareness about trans issues. While I am a cis woman, I am part of the LGBT community, and additionally I have somebody very close to me who is genderqueer. So again, this is something I care a lot about. If you've been around for any length of time, this is probably not a huge surprise, but I hope you will join me. Editing Bethany here. What I forgot to mention is this concept was created by Sim Kern, who is a book talker and a science fiction author, and I will link their channel down below if you want to go and check them out. There is also a link that I will put below for any other creators who want to sign up to host their own version of this, or to join the readathon and host a fundraiser for an organization of your choice. So there are lots of different people hosting fundraisers for different organizations, which I think is very cool. It's a decentralized organization structure. So anyway, you can find all of the information that you need to join that down below. And if you are a creator and you're interested, I would recommend checking it out. I want to draw your attention down below to that donate button. This is the first time that I have looked into how to use the fundraiser feature through YouTube, and it is pretty cool. If you donate through YouTube, they cover all of the fees for that donation. All of the money that you donate will go directly to the organization, and the organization that I am fundraising for the course of this readathon is the Callan Lord Community Health Center in New York City. I live in New York City myself, and this is such an important organization that provides medical services and connections for mental health services, among many other things, to the LGBT community in New York. This includes youth who might not otherwise have access to some of those services, people who are underserved, and so it is a nonprofit organization, and any money that you donate will go to help people in those communities, including trans youth and trans adults in New York, get the medical services they need. And especially for trans people, this can sometimes be life-saving and incredibly important when we're talking about access to things like hormones, for instance. So I hope you will join me in donating. This is a stretch, but I am hoping by the end of the month, by April 1st, to raise $1,000 for the Callan Lord Community Health Center. Again, you can use the link down below to donate, even if it's just a couple of dollars that you have available. If you're able to, I would really appreciate your support in this. And I will be donating myself. I am committing to donate $20 for each book that I read during the week-long readathon, and I will be doing a reading vlog. So if you want to see my thoughts on all of the books by trans authors that I'm going to be reading between March 20th and March 27th, because there's going to be probably a lot of them. Stay tuned for that. I'm hoping to read between 5 and 10 books. I'm going to give you my comprehensive TBR, which is more than that. because listen, I am what I like to call a structured mood reader, which is that I mood read, but picking from within a large pile of possibilities. And so I want to give myself a lot of options for the week. And then we'll see how many books that I can get read. And I'm going to be donating to the Callan Lord Community Health Center $20 for each book that I finish. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive into my TBR. These are all books by trans and non-binary authors that I am very excited to potentially pick up for the week. Beginning with our group book for Tour.comathon. Yes, that's right. CL Polk is in fact a trans non-binary author. So if you wanted to double up and read, even though I knew the end, which is a novella I'm rereading, this would count. Or if you want to read some of their other books, they have some other books through Tour as well. Those would count for Tour.comathon and for the Trans Rights Readathon. So I am planning on doing my reread during that week. This is a really fantastic novella that's kind of a genre blend. It's set in, I want to say 1930s Chicago, but in an alternate version with magic. It's kind of like a noir murder mystery with angels and demons and a sapphic romance at the center of it. I really loved it and I'm looking forward to picking it up again. Also a crossover for both readathons is The Descent of Monsters by Neon Yang. This is the third novella in the Tensorate series that I've been reading and enjoying. I read the second novella already in the month of March for the readathon. Not my favorite in the series, but I've seen other people echo the same thing and I am looking forward to continuing on, so I'm gonna pick up the third installment. Neon Yang is a trans and non-binary author from Singapore, I believe, and this is silk punk fantasy set in a world where gender is something that you decide when you come of age. I have two more crossover titles going on my TBR that are from Tour and written by a trans or non-binary author. The first one is The Terraformers by Annalee Newitz. I actually forgot to put this on my Instagram post, but Annalee Newitz is a non-binary author and I am very excited to continue with Terraformers. I started it a while back and then had to put it down because I had other things I had to pick up, but I am going to finish it during the week of the readathon. So far I'm really into it, the part that I've read. This is a science fiction novel set in a far distant future where planets can be terraformed and there are like human adjacent people who have been created in order to be able to live on those terraforming planets under severe conditions. And we're following a character who is sort of a ranger on one of these planets. So far, the world building is fascinating and I'm really into it, so I'm looking forward to finishing that. Finally, we've got Victories Greater Than Death by Charlie Jane Anders. This is YA science fiction by a trans author, and I've heard that it's pretty fun. The universe is calling and time is running out. It says it's a thrilling adventure set against an intergalactic war, and I know that there are further books in this series that have come out as well. They did change the cover before publication, but I have this very old advanced copy that was sent to me from a friend that I still haven't picked up, shamefully, so this seems like a great time to read it. Moving on, let's take a look at some of the other books on my potential TBR that are not Tour titles, because I'm gonna read an array of things. I do have another novel by CL Polk on my TBR. This is The Midnight Bargain, and this one is a fantasy romance that I've heard great things about. This one wasn't from Tour, it was from a different publisher, but I think the cover is stunning. I enjoy CL Polk's writing, and I'm here for a fantasy romance. It says, a sweeping romantic new fantasy about a sorceress who must balance her desire to become the first great female magician against her duty to her family. So I'm hoping to pick that up. I also would love to read Phoenix Extravagant by Yoon-Ha Lee. This is sci fantasy with like automatons, like Chinese inspired. I don't know. Read a couple of books by Yoon-Ha Lee before and really enjoyed them, so hoping to pick this one up for the readathon. I also have Love After the End, an anthology of two-spirit and indigiqueer speculative fiction, edited by Joshua Whitehead. I've been meaning to read this for a while. It's not super long, which is nice if I'm trying to get to as many books as possible, because we're donating per book. And again, I've heard really fantastic things about them. This has trans and two-spirit indigenous authors writing speculative fiction short stories. It sounds like a home run. And then I also remembered I've had this on my TBR for years now, The Merry Spinster, Tales of Everyday Horror by, this author now goes by Daniel Mallory Ortberg. He is a trans man, and this is a collection of short stories that are darkly feminist, inspired by fairy tales. So yeah, one that I've been meaning to get to for a long time and haven't. And alongside that, because the audio is available on Scribd and I've been interested, he also wrote a nonfiction book called Something That May Shock and Discredit You, I want to say. And I think it's a nonfiction title talking about transness and Christianity, which sounds fascinating. I heard about this originally from Mara over at Books Like Whoa and have been meaning to pick it up since then. So this readathon seems like a great opportunity. 2 books by Daniel Mallory Ortberg. Another nonfiction book that I'd like to pick up, and this is actually on one of my challenge TBRs for the year, on my nonfiction challenge TBR, is Black on Both Sides, A Racial History of Trans Identity by C. Riley Snorton. It is an academic text and it just sounds really interesting. It even includes a lot of photographs, and the intersection of race and trans identity and queerness, it just intrigues me, and I think that nonfiction can be really valuable to pick up for things like this as well. The final physical book on my TBR is a romance. This is For the Love of April French by Penny Ames. I've heard good things about this from friends who have read it. The heroine is a trans woman. It's written by a trans author, and again, I've heard great things, so I'm hoping to possibly pick this up for the readathon. I've got 2 other shorter romance ebooks that I've picked up for this by trans authors that I would like to read if I'm able to get to them. The first one is His Beauty by Jack Harbin, aka Bryn. She's a trans woman of color who writes romance, and this has been on my TBR for quite a while. It's a steamy Beauty and the Beast retelling, which sounds intriguing, so I may get to pick that up this week. Next, I have Heart Haunt Havoc by Freydis Moon. Freydis Moon writes, what would you call it? Trans erotic horror? Erotica with horror elements. It's really interesting. I've read one other novella from Freydis Moon, and while it wasn't totally my jam in like some specifics, I still liked it and found the concept and the execution really interesting. So I want to pick this up as well. It says it's laced with romance, gothic imagery, Catholic mysticism, diaspora, and horror. It sounds really intriguing. It's not super long, and I want to read more from Freydis Moon, so I'm probably going to try to pick this novella up during the readathon. And then lastly, I've got a couple of e-arcs from NetGalley. These don't actually come out until May, but I'm thinking this might be a time to pick up one of them and read it a bit early. First up is Venom and Vow by Anna Marie McLemore and Elliot McLemore. I really love Anna Marie McLemore's writing, and their spouse is co-writing a fantasy romance with them. So I'm really intrigued and curious to see what this is like. I've got an e-arc, so I'm hoping to pick that up. And then of course we have The Court of the Undying Seasons by A.M. Strickland. Oh my god, I love their books so much, and this one has queer vampires in it. I just think it's gonna be everything, so I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm hoping to read at least one of these e-arcs or get started on them during the week. And that's pretty much it. It's possible that something else could come on my radar as well. You will get to see, because I will be vlogging it, so you'll get to hear my thoughts on all of the books that I pick up for that week, and I'm going to try to read as many as possible. I would love it if some of y'all would join me in donating to support the Callan Lord Community Health Center. Again, you can use that button down below. And as an added incentive, anybody who emails me or DMs me with proof of their donation will be entered into a giveaway for a book that I really loved that is by a trans author and features a trans character. That is Light from Uncommon Stars by Rika Aoki. This is open internationally, so as long as Book Depository ships to your country, you are eligible to enter the giveaway and could potentially get a copy of this book. So I hope you'll join me, support this amazing organization, read lots of trans books for this week, and get word out about trans rights, because this has never been more important and we can be part of helping to save lives. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts, and I would love to hear from you. What books do you plan to read for the readathon? What's going to be on your TBR? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, it always helps if you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.